Bobby Mills for the Independent.com and Zach Mayhew behind the camera. We're going to switch gears here and get into basketball season for a program called In the Hoops. I am very honored to have as my first guest Hastings College head coach, Jina Johansen. Welcome,
Thank
Coach.
you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. This is going to be about you, and I may ask a few questions about your basketball team, which I heard incidentally is doing very well. So, tell me about growing up. You were raised in Danbrook, is that correct? And went to Centura High School?
Yep.
How many kids did you have in your family?
I am the youngest of 5.
Youngest of 5?
Yep.
And did all of your sisters play basketball for Centura?
Yep, sister
Okay.
and brothers.
All right, and
Okay.
Kathy Mettenbrink, as you'll probably remember, in my estimation, a legendary coach for Centura, just recently retired. So, and then I understand that JC and Jill came here to play. Is that
Yes.
right? I think JC's in the Hall of Fame over here, isn't she?
She is. She's right over there, actually.
I wondered
Yeah.
where all that stuff went. I wanted to take a look at that.
She's right there. She played for 4 years, and then Jill played for 2 years.
Oh,
and then
okay.
She transferred to Kansas.
What was it like growing up as the youngest, having sisters that were that talented? Was it an asset? It had to be.
Yes, it was an asset, and it was just literally constantly going to games almost every day of the week. There's a stretch where JC was at Hastings, Jill was in high school, my brother was in junior high.
Oh my
And it
goodness.
was, I mean, besides, I think, maybe Wednesday nights, Sundays, we would go to games every night. So it was an asset, though. I mean, I don't see how it couldn't be. You
Well,
just
no, I
grow
would-
up around the game and learn a lot as you are growing up with it.
I don't know if I would have wanted to have been your brother surrounded by all that female talent, but evidently he handled it well. You said he's coaching at the play in La Vista South, is that right?
Yep.
Good for him. And I think JC is a PT in Grand Island, is that right? Or
She was in Grand Island. Her and her husband and her family moved to Ida Grove, Iowa. He got
Okay.
a job up there, and she's still a PT.
Cool.
Yeah. So.
Cool. What was it like in high school playing for Kathy Mettenbrink? I to watch her coach is like a clinic. Was it ever tough?
Yeah.
That is a really foolish question, I'm
Yeah.
sure, but I mean, I know what I see. I don't see practices, and maybe I shouldn't, but it all paid off dividends.
Yeah. No, it was tough. And you know, small town, you don't really realize how good she was.
I know.
You know, but how intense she was and how much you were able to learn. She was a great, great coach, and you don't really realize that until you get out, and then you start to realize that not every high school coach is as good as what we had. So, but she was intense, but it was also really good. She pushed us, you know, she taught us the game, and obviously we had success there, so it was a great experience.
Yeah, I remember we were talking about this before, the first time I ever saw you, and I had realized, I think I watched you play a couple of times, but we were sitting in the fellowship hall at the Presbyterian Church. You were on my left, and I don't know what they were talking about, something about church matters, maybe trying to persuade me to come to church there. I don't know why you were there, but I had just finished reading the Sunday World Herald, and I had noticed where you were second team All-State as a freshman, and things got real quiet, and all of a sudden I just pierced the silence. I looked at your hands, and I thought, that's why. Big hands. And I says, my God, you're you're Jina Johansen, and you made All-State as a freshman. And everybody just went like that, and my wife about had a stroke. But I just couldn't help it. I just remembered how big your hands were at that time. I don't know if they're probably pretty much in proportion, but I hope you don't remember that.
I don't
Thank
remember
goodness.
it, no,
Oh my God.
so it was all right.
I don't have to ask forgiveness though. But anyway, do you remember playing that semifinal game or the final game at Devane against Sandy Creek? I don't want to bring that up, but
Yeah.
I was there, and I didn't go to girls' basketball games
Yeah.
at State much because I always had something going, but I thought, I'm not going to miss this one.
Yeah.
And you were actually ahead a couple minutes into the fourth quarter, I think.
I honestly have an awful memory.
Okay.
I remember obviously losing and it being heartbreaking and everything like, but the specifics of the game, no, I don't remember it. I'm sure I could go back and talk to coach or there's a film somewhere, but other than that, I don't really.
It was a great matchup. I do remember that. And you shot a lot. I do remember that.
I don't think I made very many. That's probably why we
That was,
lost.
well, I don't know about that. Yeah, but it was, and Carrie was on that team, Carrie Hofstetter, and I think Amber Shaw, but I just recall that the next year you went up to C1, I think,
Yeah.
and played a really good North Bend
Yeah, we
team.
did.
That I couldn't picture you as C1 at the time, and I didn't know
Yeah.
if you could get all the way through. But
Yeah.
was that one loss in 2 years? Is that right? Something like
Those
that?
2 losses, I think.
2 losses, well, to North Bend, and then
Yeah,
of course
North Bend
to.
and Sandy. I think that's what it was. I can't remember our junior year if we had one more loss or not.
I don't think so, because I think it was 0-0 when you were
Yeah,
on opposite
went in
ends of the
there.
bracket.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the incident, maybe at the wedding reception, when you were a little girl, and you were only 10 or 11, and I think maybe JC was playing here at the time,
Oh, yeah.
and Coach Rodas
Yeah.
had you sign a letter of intent on a napkin to come to Hastings College, and I'm thinking, wow. But you know,
Yeah.
really, that's kind of binding, but it was kind of funny at the time. What do you
was,
think of that? Honest to goodness, did he
it-
see you play?
Yeah, and I would have been after JC's senior year, so I would have been in after maybe my 5th grade year, 6th
Did you
grade
play
year.
any kind of ball then?
No, I think I don't really remember when he saw me play. I always used to, after games, I'd grab a ball and shoot around and kind of mess around out here. But we were at Chris Floor's wedding, who played with
yeah,
JC, and I think it was
yeah.
in Ogallala or something. And it got late to the night, and all of a sudden they had this napkin with a letter of intent on it, and I decided to sign it. And after a while, I'm like, where were my parents at? Like, they should have been the one helping me out, making sure I made a good decision. But I'm sure they were right along with it.
Oh, I'm sure, but boy, I would have
So-
signed in a heartbeat. You know, hey man,
Yeah,
look at this,
exactly.
I'm a 5th grader.
Yeah.
And boy,
So
the press
then-
would have got a hold of that.
Yeah, throughout my high school years, Rodas would always kind of casually mention it, not to forget that napkin that I signed.
How many hearts were broken when you signed with Nebraska over here to just, okay, this is a pretty cool place.
It is very, very
Because
nice.
I know they were courting my daughter because she was pretty bright in school, and
Mm-hmm.
they were real good about it when she didn't come over.
Yeah.
But they were so nice, just
Yeah.
absolutely perfect people.
Yeah. I don't really know.
They couldn't really have said much because that's quite an honor.
Yeah, and I when I was probably a freshman in high school, I decided I wanted the goal of playing Division I, and so that kind of worked itself out.
Well,
but
yeah, who would pass that
yeah,
up?
yeah. So that was one of my goals, and I thought I need to try it. And
I
take
think
it.
you did a good job.
Yeah.
Obviously, they know that. But can you tell me the difference about how difficult it was in one of Kathy's practices compared to Coach Connie yours?
Yeah.
Was it harder?
They were harder in college just because it was so much more physical. Just
The practices
The
even, yeah.
practices, yeah. I mean, it was just nonstop, and that's how. I mean, you look at college games compared to high school
Oh,
games, and that's
my
how it is
goodness.
anyway. So they were harder, and in higigh school you're always really good, and think you can kind of do whatever, and then you get to college and you
Yeah.
realize that you're not quite what you think. But there's a lot of similarities as well. There's just the intensity of it and competing and trying to win and everything like that. So that prepared me for.
Well, we're
Coach
the big
Reese.
girls now, though.
Yeah.
Then. And how long did it take you to get acclimated? I don't remember if you started as a freshman or not.
I started the last 5 or 6 games of my freshman year.
Wow,
And,
didn't take long, did it?
well, to me it felt like it did.
That's the competitive spirit. That's what
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so to me it felt like it did, but even I would say by the time I was a senior, it finally slowed down where you're like, all right, I feel,
Are you kidding? Wow.
No,
of
just
course,
the-
that's tough.
it's tough competition, and to the point where you're just like, all right, I see everything. It's fine. The game has finally slowed down. But my freshman year was similar to any other freshman year. It was
Yeah.
just up and down, and I had Coach Sanford that year, and
Oh, yeah.
so I did start at the end of that, but still it was a struggle of a year, and that's I think pretty common for most freshmen though.
I think so, but being a point guard, you have to have that great vision. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
your career. Do you still have a career assist record in Nebraska for a single season?
I don't know what I can't
That's a
remember what
lot
I
of
graduated
assists,
with.
Coach.
Maybe 3rd. Lindsay Moore, I know, passed me at one
Oh,
point.
did she?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I watched her on TV, and I'm like, well, no wonder they're a lot better. She was a lot better player than what I was.
Well, I don't know about
so
that.
I can understand why they're in the top 20 now. But I know she passed me. I don't know what I am right now.
Well, you're
currently.
up there, So that
Yeah.
does take a lot of acclimation and
Mhm.
time. When did you decide, or if, to be a coach in college? When you were at Nebraska? Or
Yeah,
did you?
it was. I was a nutrition major. I love my major. And then I kind of, as a junior and senior, I wasn't quite sure what I was going to do with it. And then a couple of my coaches were like, well, why don't you get into coaching? And so I decided to go be a grad assistant. So
That's a long road and starvation, isn't it?
Kind of.
Oh my goodness! And where did you go first?
I went to South Dakota State,
Okay.
and they have a really good program, and it was great opportunity. I got my master's degree, and at the time they were transitioning to Division I.
Okay.
So they only had one assistant coach and 2 GAs, and so it was basically,
Whoa.
I had a full-time job
No
that was a
kidding.
grad assistant, so I got a ton of experience, and
Wow.
it was really good for me. And after that, I decided to stick with coaching.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. And we're glad you did. What about the Dallas gig, the University of Dallas?
Mm-hmm.
The first thing when I saw that, and of course you were highly successful at 63 wins in your career down there, but the recruiting had to be a nightmare, wasn't it? I mean,
Was.
there's 100 million schools in Texas, and my goodness, the talent down there.
Yeah.
But still,
Yeah.
it must be real high. Is it a Catholic school?
It's a Catholic school, very good academic school.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Cost of attendance was very high, Division III school, so there were a lot of challenges there just in terms of recruiting and keeping kids around. But it was also a great experience. I had no assistant coaches, and so it was like
I didn't see any, and I'm thinking this has got to be wrong. You did.
Yeah, no, and which was tough, but it was also good because I was just thrown into the fire, and they basically wished me luck and hoped I could survive. But
And watch the Sharks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I didn't
so
realize that.
It was, but for my career, it was probably the best thing I could have done in terms of going down there. Definitely out of my comfort zone. But then,
I'm sorry, but that
Yeah.
seems so tough.
yes, but it was also really good, and I learned a lot, and I had a great boss there, AD, that helped me along, and it was a good experience. There were some tough moments, but it was a good experience.
I'm looking back at this arena, and I've always loved this place
Mm-hmm.
and the football arenas or facility as well.
Yeah.
What was the arena like down there?
Nothing. It was like it had a gym with 3 walls around it, one side of bleachers. That was it.
Oh
so.
my God. And what kind of crowds? Not many people?
Not many.
Oh.
No, not many. But like I said, it was really good. It was a great experience.
So, when did you get the call to come up here? Was it in spring? Before?
It was in the spring. I was actually coming up for Easter. I was
Okay.
flying up the Wednesday before.
Did you have any idea?
Yeah, I knew that Carrie had taken the UNK job,
Okay.
and I was hoping to get a call. And Patty called. I think it was announced maybe Monday that Carrie was going to UNK, and then Patty called me Tuesday morning, and I just happened to be flying home, so I stopped here on Wednesday after
I was
got
hoping
off
you
my
weren't
flight.
driving because you probably drove off the road with glee.
Yeah, so came on Wednesday, and then she offered it over the weekend, and I stayed an extra couple days to have it announced and everything. So it worked out timing-wise pretty well.
How hard was it to tell them you were leaving down there? Because obviously they were
Yeah.
thrilled with what you did. I mean, it's always hard.
Yeah, it was tough, but I also told my AD if I had a sister, one of my sisters lives in Dallas,
Oh.
and her young kids, so that helped being down there. And so I always said if I was gonna leave family, I'm gonna come back to family. I wasn't just gonna go anywhere anywhere throughout the country. So he knew that it was a possibility, and he was obviously okay with it. But yeah,
I didn't know your sister was down there because I was just going to ask you because I know how many ties you have to family.
Yeah.
How hard it was sometimes, homesick
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah.
I mean, your little girls, big girls are all homesick just as I would be. But
yeah,
I have to ask you a question, and it might be kind of difficult to answer, but and it doesn't have anything to do with you. Let's just say a person, a girl that's in high school maybe, that's a pretty good ball player, that's far above the rest, and has developed some bad habits, but their coach never bothered to correct them because they had too many other good habits.
yeah.
When that girl gets to college and plays for Coach Johansen, how hard is it when you get up in this kind of competition or Nebraska? Is it to change those habits if you formed all through high school? Can they be changed?
It depends on what they are. Usually,
Well, I'm talking about a ball handler maybe
Yeah.
that goes right all the time, or
Yeah.
or has a habit of getting caught backcourt,
Yeah.
that just doesn't know but never had to do it.
yeah. Stuff like that, yes, you can change. I mean, I think ball handling can always get better at that. Very rarely do we try to change someone's shot at this age, unless it's pretty simple and it's not a huge adjustment. But if you start to getting into major adjustments, it's just, I mean, they've been shooting that way for 15 years, you know, and
Yeah.
to change your shot you have to put in so much time, and if they're going to do it and they do it correctly. So we don't usually mess with sometimes we'll mess a little bit with footwork,
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
terms of getting it off and you know what they want to do with their footwork, but in terms of their actual form, we don't
I
mess
didn't
with it a
think you
lot.
could
Yeah.
because, and I think you see that before you offer anybody
Yeah.
actually. So,
Yeah.
and what about how, if you're a tall girl, say at Hastings College, and I know Alicia Staller was there, she didn't jump very high. She didn't have to.
Yeah.
Does a post player have to jump a lot higher in college? I'm sure they do, don't they?
Um,
Say you're 6'2" or 3.
Well, if you're 6'2" or 3, you don't have to jump
Yeah,
that high.
I figured, just put your hands up or whatever.
We've
Yeah.
just played against Dordt College, and they had a 6'3" kid, really long, and she was decent, but I mean, you just don't go against 6'3" very often,
No.
and so it really made our post players adjust. But you know, if you're that tall, you can usually get away with some stuff.
Have you noticed any difference? I don't know if I want to get into this or not, but I've heard a lot of complaining, especially at the Division I level, that they're calling games a lot closer.
Yeah.
Have you seen it at this level?
Yeah, you know, every year they come out with the rules of emphasis, and you know, physicality is one of them, and cleaning up the game, and
That's part of the
for the
game.
most part, they call it early, and then by the end of the year, it's just, you know,
Oh, that's
what they
good.
normally call it. Yeah, and which I get. Some of it
Sure.
you need to clean up the game, and you know, if they put a point of emphasis on it, but by the end of the year, it's usually
That's good.
back to normal.
Because I don't like to watch a game where there's
Yeah.
115 foul
I agree with it.
attempts.
Completely agree with it.
What's the biggest thrill of your coaching career? As a obviously,
Ooh.
that's a tough one.
It is a
There's
tough
probably been a
one.
lot of them, and there maybe isn't. Somebody asked me who
Yeah.
my favorite drummer is. Well, I can't tell you a favorite. I've got so many. You know.
Yeah. Trying to think my different stops. At South Dakota State, we weren't eligible for NCAA tournament. We made the WNIT, and we hosted games, and it was, you know, 6,000 people packed in the arena.
Why, man,
So that was really fun.
Okay.
At Dallas, we had a couple big wins that we got excited
Cool.
about.
How about here?
Here we have 11 wins right now. We'll say every one of them. We're
That's
happy with
good.
the
That's what I
wins.
thought.
You know, we play Morningside on Saturday, and that will be another tough game for us.
It is.
But
Yeah, they have a tough
yeah.
team. So, last question here. How is your team this year? I mean, it's obviously doing very well, but this is a tough conference.
Yeah.
What do you need to improve on?
Yeah.
It doesn't look like much to me, but you're a coach and you know
Yeah, we
that.
always have something, right?
Yes, yeah. Well, sure. That's what makes you good.
Yeah. You know, some games I think we look pretty good, and other games I'm like, oh, we got a lot to work on. You know, we're kind of streaky from the perimeter right now. We shoot it really well some games, and other games it's a struggle. Defensively, I think we can always get better. You know, we're doing a pretty good job, but we can still be able to guard people a little bit better.
Do you push the ball?
We do push the ball for the most part.
Good.
There's some games, you know, our point guard plays a ton of minutes, but she never gets tired. But there's some games that
Like somebody else I know. Yeah.
I think she's much better than me in terms of never getting tired.
I never saw you get tired. You must have covered it up pretty good, but yeah, wow.
So, you know, if we just tell her to go until she needs a little bit of a break, you know, if she wants to slow it up, then she can slow it up at that point. But
She's that trustworthy, huh? Good
yeah,
deal.
yeah, she is. I just looked at her assist turnover. I think she has like 49 assists, 14 turnovers on the year. She's had a really, really good year
Yeah,
for
it
us.
is a good number, yeah.
And she's a senior, so I'm thinking it's that point where things are starting to really slow down for her. But
Are you going to recruit somebody like that so you can keep pushing?
yeah, we have Chandra Farmer from St. Cecilia. She's a point guard.
Okay,
She's
that
coming in
answers
next
that.
year, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so she'll be good for us as well. And Abby Jackson's our point guard now. She's also was from St. Cecilia. So, and you know, St. Cecilia just kind of has that culture where they work hard and play hard and are good at everything.
And have a lot of Catholic kids in their family and keep
Yeah.
them coming, you know? And yeah,
Exactly.
we take them all
Yeah.
at Hastings College, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, we do push the ball. It's not to the point where we're getting them down like crazy, but we push it enough where we get stuff in transition.
Have you played UNK yet?
No, we have
Do
not.
you play them?
No, I don't think the women's team have played for a couple years.
I didn't think so. I was wondering how that one would
Yeah.
go, you know, because it'd be kind of a fun deal, but
Yeah.
I didn't think they played anymore.
No, I know our men's team played right before Thanksgiving, played at UNK,
Okay.
but we weren't on the schedule with them.
That's all right.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for doing this because
All right.
it's been a big thrill for me, and I hope I didn't embarrass you with a church story. But
Nope, not at all.
and can I see your hands again? Yeah, look at that, Zach. She can one hand.
I can still, yeah.
I knew they would still be the same, so that had to help. But
That's
anyway,
funny.
I I want to thank you
Yes,
a
thank
lot
you. Yes.
because it's a big thrill to kick off in hoops like this.
Yes, so-
And we wish you the best of luck. I don't know if you need it because it looks like it's going pretty good
We'll
now.
take it.
And I hope you have a long tenure here and welcome home.
you.
We really enjoy having you
I
here.
appreciate it.
It
Thank
just
you very
feels
much.
like this is where you belong. So.
I agree.
Again, thank you
Yes,
very
thank
much
you.
for that. We'll be back next week, and we really thank once again Jina Johansen for being our guest. Next week, we will visit with Hastings St. Cecilia head boys coach Kevin Asher. So until then, for Zach Mayhew behind the camera, this is Bobby Mills, the 1,000-Yard Guy for Independent.com.